This is a great example to show how we start to put together all the different skills that we've developed so far in trigonometry. Find the value of the sine of alpha plus beta if, and that gives you two conditions. It tells you something about alpha and tells you something about beta. Now the first thing to notice, since it's talking about sine of alpha plus beta, I'm going to come up here and use this guy here. And since it's plus, I'm going to use top and top, just so I keep that in mind. Now the problem is here, I don't know anything about exact values. I don't know anything about special triangles. I don't know anything about 30, 60, 90 or 45, 45, 90. I need to get that information myself. Because if I'm looking at sine of alpha plus beta, it's sine alpha cosine beta, and then plus, keep the sign, cosine alpha sine beta, just using the same form. I need all of those values. So maybe if I'm given all four, I can just go ahead and do that. Let's see what I'm given. Right here, I'm given sine alpha is 7/25. So I can come up right here, and that's 7/25. That's one of the four things I need to know. And I know sine beta is -8/17. So that's -8/17. That's another thing I need to know. But I don't know cosine beta or cosine alpha. So what I need to do is I need to draw these triangles. And once I draw these triangles, I can figure this information out. So I'm going to sketch a picture of alpha. And I know that alpha is in quadrant 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put alpha there. There's alpha. And I know that his sine is 7/25. Well, it makes sense that sine is positive in quadrant 2. So let's go ahead and draw my reference triangle. Sine is opposite 7 over hypotenuse 25. If I do a little bit of Pythagorean, I can see that this side is 24, and I have to be careful. He's negative. So I did Pythagorean theorem, 25 squared minus 7 squared. Took the square root, and I put this negative here because I'm moving negative in the x direction. Don't lose him. So now that I have the triangle, I can find any other value of alpha. So here, what I really need is cosine alpha. So cosine alpha would be adjacent -24 over hypotenuse 25. So I've found 3 of the 4 values I need. I look up here and see the only other thing I need is something about beta. So I'm going to go through the same process. I'm going to draw a picture of beta. And beta's in quadrant 3, so I'm going to go ahead and put him there. Comes the whole way around. There's beta. So I stick in my reference triangle, because that's the one I really care about. And I know that the sine of beta is -8/17. So opposite -8, hypotenuse 17. And go ahead and do not quadratic formula, that's not even close. Go ahead and do Pythagorean equation, Pythagorean formula, and you're going to find that this is 15. So 17 squared and then minus the -8 squared, or just 8 squared. And you get 15, but he's moving in the negative direction, so don't forget that negative. Once I have the triangle for beta, I can tell everything about beta. And what I'm really looking for is cosine beta. So I look at it and I take adjacent, which would be -15, divided by hypotenuse, which is 17. So I found all 4 of my parts. Let me scroll down a little bit and just rewrite this so I can see it a little bit better. Let me extend page and scroll up. I have the following. I'm going to write it in one big statement so I can see it. Sine of alpha plus beta equals sine alpha, which I found was 7/25. Actually, I was given that, so that was easy. And then times cosine beta, which I found was -15/17. Plus, then I have cosine alpha, which I found was -24/25. and sine beta, which I was given as -8/17. That's all fractions. That's just multiplying each side and then adding it together because it's already going to have a common denominator. So the sine of alpha plus beta, when I do all of that math, ends up being 87/425. 87/425. That's my answer right there. So really, I'm just looking for these 4 values. And in order to find them, normally I would have exact special triangles I could use. But since I'm dealing with angles that are not special, I have to draw my own triangles. That's what you need to get into your head. Draw your own triangle if you don't know what the triangle is. And I base that off of the information that I'm given right there. Notice one thing. This is really big. I never found the values of alpha or beta. I don't know what the angles are. Never found them. Didn't need to. So you don't have to use any inverse trig functions in order to find those values. Just draw your triangles and fill in those 4 spots, and you should be good.